Welcome to another episode of the brand called You, a video and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Today, it is my privilege to welcome not just a very, very dear friend, a fellow YPO member, but someone who's made it big in the real estate business, Prakash Gurbaxani. Prakash, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Prakash is the founder and CEO of QVC Realty Company. He spent 37 years in real estate construction. He has invested in internet and BOP companies in USA and India. And as I mentioned, he is a fellow member of the YPO. So Prakash, tell me, what would you say are three key milestones in your life or your career?
I think the first key milestone I would say is when I left India to go to US.
Mm-hmm.
So I graduated in 1983, and then in 83 I went to US to do masters. And I would say the second key milestone is when I came back.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I had not come back, I think life would have been very different.
Okay.
So 1997 I came back
Uh-huh.
after spending 14 years there.
Uh-huh.
And everything was fine. You know, we were all well settled until one day I decided that we are going back.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the third key milestone really, QVC is in January will be 14 years old.
Okay.
So I have, along the way I did enough startups, companies, this, that. Finally, I started QVC in 2007.
Uh-huh.
And I think this is my last gig.
Okay. So, tell me, you said that you went to the US and then you came back. What was your motivation to return to India after spending 14 years in USA?
So motivation really was, I grew up in a business family in Nagpur.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody in my family had ever done quote unquote, a job.
Mm-hmm.
So I was the only guy who was technically in a job, although in US.
Okay.
But so I always had this thing that, I need to go do something on my own.
Correct.
And so I'm not a techie guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So US, you heard a lot of these success stories, but they were all from the tech background.
Correct.
Where small companies became huge. And then, people made millions and billions of dollars in stock options and this and that, because all these companies, right from a Microsoft to Cisco to all these, back, they all started in 70s and 80s when they were they were startups.
Correct.
So the opportunities I had were really traditional opportunities to do some type of a trading business, that type of stuff.
Okay.
And construction is very tough business in US because highly liability driven.
Correct.
So you could not just start your own construction company. So an opportunity came up, and really, that is why I came back.
Okay.
Is we have our common friend Pradeep Kar.
Mm-hmm.
So Pradeep and I actually went to college together.
Okay.
So he would keep telling me, boss, you come back, you can do this, do that. And, he has a very successful business in the microland.
Yeah.
So that time he was starting a new company, which was not a tech company, which was kind of like a quasi, operations driven company where the idea was to do tech related trade shows.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually relocated back to work with him to run that business.
Okay, very interesting.
1997.
Very interesting. So Prakash, let's talk about QVC Realty Company. First, tell me, what does QVC stand for?
So QVC stands for Quality and Value for Customer.
Okay, terrific. I didn't know that. So tell me about Quality and Value for Customer Realty Company.
So my old background is construction.
Mm-hmm.
When I came back here, I didn't get into construction because construction is a messy business. And I was fortunate that I worked with Pradeep, and I did 2 BPO startups. These are early days of call center. That time they didn't call it business process outsourcing that they call it now. Then what happened was in 2005, they deregulated real estate. So until 2005, foreign companies or foreign capital could not be invested into real estate in India.
Okay.
And real estate companies in India could not raise foreign capital. So you had private equity funds, but they only invested in non-deregulated industries.
Okay.
So when they opened in 2005, I thought, this business will change now. And you cannot start real estate without capital. Now, the problem I had, that in India, people knew me as a BPO guy. Nobody remembered the construction background.
Correct.
So I couldn't have gone and raised capital because people have said, you have no experience. So an opportunity came again where there is a large company in US called Tishman.
Okay.
Tishman is a very large developer. When the real estate business got deregulated, they formed a joint venture with ICICI Ventures.
Right.
To invest $700 million in India.
Okay.
So they were looking for a CEO and somebody gave them my name.
Okay.
So they contacted me and I ended up joining them. So I made that transition into real estate.
Okay.
And then very quickly after that, I raised capital from ILFS to start QVC.
Fantastic.
We raised $100 million as a startup.
Incredible. So, Prakash, tell me, real estate traditionally in India has been a very murky business. And yet, when organized players like you have stepped in, you're beginning to change it. How is this happening?
So, I would say the business today is dramatically different than the real estate business of 60s, 70s, 80s, and probably 90s.
Correct.
Okay. Now, so earlier there were two issues. One is you had murkiness on the developer side, and then you had murkiness on the other parts of the ecosystem.
Correct.
Including approvals, this, that. Today, by and large, if you go to tier 1 developers, and for that matter, I'm just saying tier 1, tier 2.
Yeah.
I mean, there are always exceptions.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
By and large, there is no murkiness from the developer side. Okay. And the murkiness in the rest of the ecosystem, I think, is improving day by day.
Okay.
Yeah, it's getting better.
Fantastic. And you are predominantly a residential player, isn't it?
That's right.
So my question to you is, how do you compare the growth of commercial real estate versus residential real estate in our country over the last, say, 10 years?
So clearly, they're kind of somehow related. The commercial real estate one boom is from the IT and back office type of work. Right? So you have all these large Indian tech companies, large foreign tech companies. You have back offices set up here. So that created a boom in the commercial real estate. Right? And clearly created a boom in employment.
Okay.
Right? Similarly, as different sectors got deregulated, I mean, when we were growing up, there was one telecom, BSNL.
Correct.
Right. Now you can see how big telecom is today.
Correct.
So obviously that has impact on commercial real estate. Employment has impact on residential real estate. So as the economy grows, all three sectors grow.
Fantastic. My next question to you is that, the younger people today, they are all renting homes. They're not wanting to buy because they're looking at what is happening immediately. They're not looking at rental yields, etc. What are your thoughts? I mean, what impact will this have on real estate or residential real estate?
The younger generation, I mean, they are renting for two reasons. Okay. One is they are probably not sure themselves where they will settle.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of mobility.
Correct.
Right. But I think the real issue is affordability. I mean, I would say a very small percent of people would say that I don't want to own a house.
I see.
Okay. Especially with what has happened now in this last 1 year, I think people have realized how important it is to actually own a home.
Correct.
Rather than
Rent.
be at the mercy of the landlord who can throw you out. So I think the younger people definitely would like to own a home as long as they can afford it. And you will see, because of that, you will see in lot of big cities or the major metros in India, you will find a category of affordable homes now.
Okay.
Okay. So these homes are priced affordable. They are a little smaller. And earlier, you couldn't have imagined building studios or one bedrooms in India. Just because the nature of the business was such. See, earlier, people bought homes when they retired. They used their PF money.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
There was no concept of mortgage in India.
Right.
You could not get a home loan. So with all that changing, smaller homes, younger people can buy, and then as the family grows, as the income grows, they upgrade. Earlier, you never upgraded. Most families bought a home, and then that was their home for their whole life.
Correct. Correct.
So a lot of this is clearly moving the way the Western real estate ownership is.
Very interesting. And I've also been reading somewhere that because of the lockdown and people work from home, the demand of the younger people is now for larger homes. What are your thoughts?
Because you need some private space to work. I mean, you can work from your kitchen table for an hour, but you cannot work on the kitchen table for 9 hours with everybody else coming and using that kitchen.
Well said. So Prakash, tell me now, as you were building the real estate business, and as you just said that, the tier one developers are changing the game plan. What are some of the core values you believe in for your business?
So my core value is in my name.
Okay.
So if you see a lot of the real estate companies, I mean, they are named after the promoters, a lot of them. Okay. And so when I started the business, I mean, I could have called it anything.
Correct.
And I said, I'm very clear, this business is not known for focusing on the customer and quality. This business is such that every buyer has a, real estate horror story. And the whole home buying experience is so messy. You are just lucky you got the house.
Correct.
Because you have, 20 other people who never paid money and never got anything.
Absolutely right. Absolutely.
So
there are horror stories of real estate.
Yeah. So, I mean, fortunately now the system is very different, especially with regulations like RERA, this, that. It's put a lot of discipline into the whole process. I mean, earlier, otherwise it was just free for all. So our core values are in the name.
Well said.
Quality and value for customer.
Well said. So follow-up question to that is that what is your leadership style?
So my leadership style, I would say on certain aspects of the business is very hands-on. And then there are other aspects it is very hands-off. Okay. So where I'm completely hands-on is my investor relations, customer issues, and I would say cash flow.
Okay. Yeah. Very important.
So these three things I'm completely hands-on. Everything else, I mean, I'm involved, but not as hands-on.
Okay.
So I will give you, I don't have any scheduled review meetings.
Okay.
So I don't have a monthly review, weekly review, quarterly review, nothing. So I do my review as and when I need it. It could be, 3 times in a week, may not happen in a month,
Okay.
depending on what is happening. But I have a pulse of what's going on.
Fantastic.
Fortunately, we are small enough for me to be able to have that pulse.
Fantastic. So tell me about a few of your iconic projects that you have done.
So in real estate, we have 3 projects. And it's just funny, you would think that when you are a startup company, generally you do small projects before you graduate to big projects. Okay. But it just so ended up happening. Our smallest project is 82 acres.
Wow.
Okay. And the largest project is 153 acres.
Incredible.
So we have these 3. One project is, residential gated villa community in Bangalore. One is 106-acre township in Gurgaon we are doing. And then there is another 153-acre township where we are building villas in Gurgaon.
Wow. Amazing. And one more question before I move to some questions for you personally. You must be hiring a lot of people in your team. What do you look for when you hire someone?
So we actually, our core team is very small because a lot of work is outsourced.
Correct.
But when I hire people, I only look for two things. Okay. One is clearly, number one is integrity. Okay. And number 2 is whatever their role is, they have to be able to take ownership of that role.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Now, we are here to help and make sure everybody succeeds, but they have to take ownership.
Okay. And my last question to you on the business is, we did speak a little bit about millennials, but how are millennials and the Gen Zs coming up? How are they changing the business of real estate?
So I think there are 2 aspects to the business, right? One is actual development, where you have to go buy land and then design and construct and stuff like that.
Correct.
So clearly there they don't necessarily have a role. Now their role comes in because ultimately they are our customers. In what type of services and amenities you provide.
Correct.
Right. So how can you use tech to provide services? What type of amenities? Common areas, amenities, clubhouses, swimming pools, gyms. And more importantly, post-completion management. So now there are great tools to make sure that you can pay your bills online, you can pay through an app, you can pay your maintenance through an app, you can order services. So those things are significantly more impacted because of them than pre-delivery.
Okay. Very interesting. So Prakash, I'm now going to move to the second part of our conversation, which are some questions for you personally.
Okay.
My first question is that, 14 years in America, built a successful real estate company. What does success mean to Prakash?
So, now I'll be 60 in a few months.
Okay, I'm 64.
So today, success to me means that, for me personally, what it means is my ability to honor all my commitments. If I tell you something, this is what I'm going to do, and if I'm able to deliver it exactly like I told you, then I think for me that is success.
Okay.
And in my business today, other measure of success for me is whether we owe anybody any money.
Okay.
Okay.
Correct.
So fortunately we don't. So I'm pretty happy.
Okay.
So those are the measures. Rest are numbers.
Okay. My second question to you is, that you keep doing so many different things, you're building more bigger projects. What inspires you?
I think I don't have any. I don't have anything else to do.
Okay.
For lack of a better reason. Okay. I cannot sit at home.
Okay.
I cannot work from home. I don't have a laptop.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay. And I have not had a laptop probably in 15 years.
Wow.
Okay. So I like to come to work. I like to sit. Now, whether I'm productive, not productive, it's where I meet people. So I don't need inspiration. I just don't have anything else to do.
Okay.
So I keep showing up to work.
Well said. Well said. I've got time for two more questions for you. My next question is on failure. And I ask this from many of my guests. A lot of us fail, but we have not really been taught that it's okay to fail. My question to you is, what have been some of your learnings from some of your mistakes or your failures?
So, failure is nowadays, people like to glamorize it. Say, boss is okay, you can fail, you can do this, do that, right? But the real bottom line is, what is the degree of failure? Okay, if the damn failure puts you on road, so nothing glamorous about that.
Correct.
Okay, the guy who's going through it knows. Now, the other thing is, I'm saying if something doesn't work, you just go on and do something else. That's all.
Okay. And my last question to you, for all the thousands of people who will listen to you and me talking, you, as you mentioned, you are a quintessential entrepreneur. What would your advice be to a young individual who's starting off their journey as an entrepreneur?
So my advice is very simple. I would say somebody who's thinking of becoming an entrepreneur, I would just tell them, go get started.
Okay.
Because it is impossible to figure out all this stuff until you start. And a lot of people, they spend too much time in trying to micro-analyze everything. They feel they have to have everything covered before they do it. And then they either never end up doing it, or it's just too late, or they never get comfortable.
Right.
So I would suggest do it, and don't keep looking for that bright idea that you think that nobody else has.
Okay.
I mean, I started a real estate company. By no stretch of imagination, that is a bright idea. Or was a bright idea when I started it.
Well said. Prakash, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure speaking to you. I wish you and QVC lots and lots of success.
Thank you so much. Great talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.